George, you're bald. George is a weaselly little man wearing a toupee who rejects someone else who's bald. I mean, really, look in the mirror. The irony and humor of it all. I couldn't help but roll my eyes and smirk when I got a good look at these commentators' profile mugshots. Stop barking at every tail that passes you up and work on yourself. This is a snippet of the latest essay I wrote about misogynoir, and this is coming after a post that I saw from a friend or a Facebook friend, a former, I think, high school associate or something like that. And he said something a little snarky, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I saw the comments that came after that, which provoked this article and essay about basically sexism, especially sexism directed towards Black women. So yeah, and I guess you're wondering, like, how did you fit a Seinfeld quote into an article on sexism? And I don't know, it just, my mind works like that. It's just like very kooky and quirky and kind of like all over the place, and just snippets of references, like from one of my favorite shows, Seinfeld, comes to mind, and then I can wrap the rest of the content around this one little quote, George, you're bald. Anyway, so check that out. It is on Patreon. It's available to the public as of now, so check that out. It won't be public for long. Sign up and become a patron and get a monthly subscription to all of the essays, articles, full videos at your disposal. So thank you guys so much for supporting this video. I just wanted to talk about my life here in France and our current state of lockdown and confinement and what that looks like here. So yeah, so that's what this video is about. Make sure to like and subscribe and share this video. So what does confinement look like? It's been what, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. It just seems like every week is just like a one continuous day, in my opinion, that just repeats itself. So it could have been just a week or two of lockdown, but we're in lockdown, and it doesn't look exactly like the first lockdown that we had when the coronavirus hit in March. It was actually March 16th, the day of my son's fourth birthday, that we were told to not go outside and not do anything but get your groceries and stay in house. So the first lockdown in France was pretty airtight, um, because of the surges in the cases in Italy, Spain, and France, because that was like, we were like third or fourth on the list of most cases, most deaths, etc. at the time. So we were permitted to get our groceries and get our essentials, and we have an app. First, it was by paper, so you had to print a paper, sign it, date it, put the time and everything, because you only have an hour of activity. Like if you want to go for a run or a walk, you only have an hour, and it has to be noted on this paper. And then it became an app. An app where you know, and then you have like a barcode if you're stopped or anything. That I have actually an incident during the first lockdown with a police officer that I'll tell you about on Patreon. That's for my patrons, my ride or dies. So I'll tell you that story there. But yeah, the first lockdown was pretty, you know, straightforward. You didn't see any like vehicles nearly at all. There was a lot of ambulance at the time, or maybe it was just like psychological, but it seems like every day there was an ambulance going by with, and you just thought automatically coronavirus. Um, and school was out. School was out. Our son didn't have virtual school. He's only 4, so there was just no school. There was no virtual online replacement. But I guess what would you replace preschool with? Like, I don't know. So yeah, there was no school, and it was tough. Cabin fever is really, really tough with kids, young kids too. Not like, okay, you just sit them in front of a something and they'll, entertain themselves, or they don't have a phone they could be on, or you know what I mean, that they could just go in their room and play or work or study or something. No, they require like a lot of attention. So, and they're noisy and loud, and being in an apartment isn't the most, you know what I mean? They can't just go in the backyard and be left alone. So it was pretty. And then we started getting our groceries in like bulk, not in bulk, but like getting enough to last 2 weeks instead of 1 week. So we can like avoid going to the store. Masks, hand sanitizer, washing of hands, distance, all of that, like a lot of places, like everywhere, was implemented. I mean, the buses were empty, and John Paul, he was working from home. And it was just really a new, like, way of living, kind of like, I don't know. But then it opened back up and people started doing normal things again. The summer hit, and the lockdown had ceased. And then it was technically summer break for the kids and everything like that. So I'm sure people went to their secondary houses in the countryside and they did all of that. And it was pretty, things start opening up au fur et à mesure. How do you say that? Petit à petit? No. Little by little. And like the gym membership, my John Paul started going back to the gym, and there was restaurants. You saw people at the bar, and if you've followed this, my videos, we went to Chartres. What else? Vire. We went to Bretagne, Normandy. So we went to the beach maybe every other week during the summer when things were finally starting to open back up and they were more lax. But now school is back in session, and there has been a spike in France, like in a lot of places. They're going through their second wave. So we're back in a lockdown, and we're back at, having our attestation, or our little paper saying that, okay, we're going to be out for this long, just in case we're stopped or anything. But school is still in session. So my son is going to school every day, and the parents who, drop off their kids, they have to be masked, and social distancing is supposed to be respected. It isn't really, because you have a whole bunch of kids, a whole bunch of parents, and in France, everything is condensed, like the streets and the cars and the spaces and everything like that. So we try our best, or I try my best, mask. And the kids, 4-year-old, 3-year-old, that sector or that grade, they don't wear masks at school. The parents have to wear masks when we get to school, but the kids aren't masked. So I think masks are like for higher grades, like high school, they wear masks, and I think middle school, they're wearing masks. But the elementary school kids are not in masks. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I think I'm not going to say pointless, but it's kind of counterproductive if you have kids coming home to parents and then going back to school, but only the parents have to wear masks. Kind of like, okay, it's just for show, really. Or maybe it helps. I don't know. So, but the crazy thing is, recently, maybe a couple months ago, the French president Macron, he offered or proposed or passed, I don't know, a law that says that you can't homeschool your kids. Like it's against the law now. Only for in certain instances you can, but in general, it is no longer optional for new parents. I guess new parents who wants to homeschool their kids, and people who are already, I'm sure they're allowed to keep going as they are, or maybe not. I'm not even sure, but I just thought that was so crazy. Like, really, you can tell parents during a pandemic, during like a global health crisis, you can't like keep your kids at home. But this came after or during, I'm not sure, the incident I told you about in my last video when I was talking about do I feel safe in France? And there was an incident that wasn't too far from my house in the town next over where a poor teacher was decapitated. Like, oh my God, like by his student. His student was like 17 years old, and he was, I guess, upset and about a caricature that the teacher showed to his class of the Prophet Muhammad. And so the student, who happened to be Muslim, decapitated his teacher, his poor, innocent, minding his own business teacher. And it's like, because of a caricature. And I'm like, craziness, right? So to reduce radicalization of children, a law was passed where you can't homeschool your kids. But the funny thing is, first of all, this demented, 18 year old was going to school. So he wasn't homeschooled. In his record, or, his parents, nothing suggested that he was ever like homeschooled or it came from his parents or anything like that. So, yeah, a kid that's going to school happens to do something completely demented and violent and terrible, but the whole population who's suffering a pandemic can't homeschool their kids at home because of the radicalization, possibly, maybe, in the very not possible are required to. It was just like, that is France. Just crazy. And then there was a protest or a boycott from Muslim countries towards France because there was an accusation of targeting all Muslims or targeting all, people, believers of Islam for this one incident. It was just a whole thing. But add that to the current lockdown, and like people are like, and John Paul actually did an episode about this with our online comic strip, The Butters. So check that out. He's translating, or we're translating it also in English to kind of get a satirical viewpoint of minority people in France, talking about cultural differences, And he also have other outlets where you can see the Butters comic strips. But so our lockdown right now is pretty, I don't know, it feels freer than the first lockdown because he's Joel's at school and John Paul is still working from home, but we have this routine now. It's kind of like not so jarring the first time you're told, like, you can't do this, this, and this, and this. And since we've already been through it, it's kind of like, okay, we know we can do this, we can go here, and we go, But it's really, really, really tough with kids when you just want to break, when you just want to have like a time to exhale. And the fact that we don't have like a person where we can just drop the kids off for a couple hours and say, okay, we're going to get this done, just done at home, maybe clean up or move things around or get some administrative work done, like where this is going or, and just regular social outings. Like before, I don't know if I mentioned, I started Zumba and I would go Zumba dancing with two parents, two good friends from Joel's school. We would all get together and go to Zumba, me and two other mothers. And that would like release a lot of my built up anxiety through the week, and that was every Thursday. And now I can't do that. I know I mentioned my bike rides in the forest or on the trails in the city next to mine, and I could do that. That's my 1 hour activity I can do. But it's hard to do 1 hour of activity when you have kids that need their hour too. So I haven't been able to do my bike rides, which is kind of a bummer. Um, but yeah, the lockdown is necessary. I understand it. I mean, but this time, like, I see more cars on the street. I see people are like going to work still. And this seems more normal because you have more traffic, you have people on bikes, you have this and that. It is a lot more loose than it was before. But lockdown, we're still in this moment where there's cases that are rising, the deaths are rising, the hospitals are apparently reaching its max. So, but I feel fortunate, at least because France isn't number one or number two or number three on the list of out of control managed countries, because I hear a lot from South America, for example. You have like Brazil that are like up there in cases and deaths and just out of control. The United States also with the current administration, etc. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. But the last thing I'll say about the lockdown that really kind of bums me out is the traveling restrictions. So, only necessary travel is allowed. So, like just going on vacation or wanting to get out and escape for a week or so isn't allowed. And flights to and from the United States, if I'm not mistaken, is still not allowed. So if I want to go see my family or take a couple months to like visit the people that are also going through this hard, unprecedented time, can't happen. You have to stay where you are, etc. So yeah, lockdown is, yeah, lockdown with kids especially. Like just lockdown would be more manageable, I think, or tolerable, or I would be more sane. But with kids and activities that we always have to like think of things to do, if I can find pictures or videos, I'll show you just like what we do in our spare time. But yeah, tell me how your lockdown is, where you are, and how you're getting through it, your self care routine, and make sure to like, comment, and yeah, give me suggestions on other videos you'd like to see. So, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
T'as
Yeah.
tes dents sur ça? Ça fait normal.
No.
Je suis en mode.
No, I told you what.